Hey guys, I'm AH Designs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I thought I would show you some of the process that I go through in order to plan out some of my costumes. So in this case, I am going to be planning to work on Saria from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I cosplayed this character before. It was my first cosplay when I was 13 years old, and I also did it a few years ago as well, but I've decided to remake it again as I need to make the costume for a group project. I need to update previously made costume. The first thing I do is I sketch out the character in my sketchbook in their full attire. This helps me to better understand the silhouette and all the pieces and details that go into the costume. From there, it can help me kind of understand what all goes into the costumes, and I'm able to sketch out each individual piece to figure out where seam lines or style lines or other details might go and sit. And this is when I also plan, especially if I'm going to pattern draft, kind of how I'm going to do it. For example, these images on the side, such as the jumper, the turtleneck, but I'm making it into more of a unitard, and the boots, I've actually drawn out where seams might sit, where darts might sit, or zippers, etc. so that when I'm pattern drafting, I can use this as a little resource and figure out what I'm planning to do before I just sit down and just draft. Going into drafting with a bit of a plan is always a good idea, and it helps move the process along faster. So now I'm going to explain what each of these pieces are. So again, this is my sketch of the full costume with a little bit of my notes on what pieces there are, and then I have my pieces on the side. So the first piece I'm going to be making is a jumpsuit. Look at the character's reference artwork. Her jumpsuit is actually almost the same exact color as her hair. Very bizarre detail, but that's just the way the developers modeled her and then eventually drew her. So the first thing that I purchased was a wig. This is an Inigo. I've gotten this wig before, but it's an Inigo in light green from Art of Wigs Canada, and it's a very, very good style for this character. This is the wig right out of the bag. As you can see, just the right kind of color and enough length that I can work with it when I'm styling it, cut it a little bit and give it some more volume, because of course I'm not just going to wear it as is. I am going to do some styling to it to get it to the way I want. Saria has some decently large bangs going on and this nice little swoop under her ears, so I'm really looking forward to actually giving this a good style and playing around with it a little bit. So once I received this wig, it was about finding a color that was either the exact same or pretty darn close. I originally wanted to make Saria with a linen type fabric because I felt that would fit the foresty vibe and everything, but I ended up only finding a few linens that were in similar colors. So this is 10 centimeters of one of the only fabrics I found. Not quite a linen, more of a outdoors linen meant for upholstery, I think on outdoor chairs and things like that. And from the store, I thought it was actually pretty good. It felt a little stiff, but it had a cool looking texture to it. And then I brought it home and realized it does not match the wig at all. It's far too light and has a bit more of a yellowish tint to it. So I quickly realized this would not work for the jumpsuit because it would be too obviously far from the color of the wig. So while I was at home looking through my mom's stash to make my Scrap Epic Challenge projects, I ended up finding this plain green cotton. Now I was originally wanting to avoid cotton for Saria, but then they're nearly the exact same color depending on the lighting of the wig. They are super, super close enough that I think it will work quite nicely. This is very lightweight, so it will be very, very comfortable for her little jumpsuit. And it was also free. That's a big deal for me because, of course, I'm working on a very limited budget. So instead of paying a lot of money for a real linen fabric, which can get quite pricey quite quickly, this cotton from my mother's basement will do quite nicely for this project. I'm actually pretty excited that I found it because, yeah, that is so close. The next piece you would notice in my sketches is the turtleneck sweater, which I think I'm going to make actually as a leotard instead, simply because the other times I've made Saria cosplays, I find that because of the jumpsuit, the turtleneck will kind of rise up a little bit and be uncomfortable and cause some bagging here underneath the little jumpsuit. So I figured if I make it into a leotard instead, it might keep it down and actually be a lot more comfortable. I haven't decided 100% yet if that's what I want to do, but I think I will, especially because I think I have enough fabric for it. Now, Saria's little turtleneck sweater always has a ribbed look, and that is a form of knit. I was doing my best to find a knit ribbed fabric, So I go into Drew's sewing center in Cornwall and I find this. Ribbed net in dark green. A color of which looks great next to the green that my mom gave me. I haven't worked with this style of rib before, so it will be a bit of an interesting challenge to work with it. But I do have a serger, so I'm fully capable of working with it, and I'm gonna be going through a lot of trial and error. I'm lucky this is a simpler garment, otherwise this would be a bit of a pain to do. Now, if you'll notice on the character art or the character's in-game model, not only does her hair and her tunic match, or her little jumpsuit, so does her boots, her turtleneck sweater, her belt, and her headband. Because of course those would all naturally be made of the same fabric, right? So not only did I have to find ribbing fabric, I had to find some kind of fake leather to match it. Luckily, Drew's Sewing Center is actually amazing. It is quite the spot, and they have a huge collection of fake leathers, vinyls, etc. Went to their warehouse, my mom, and we searched and we searched, and we found this. The exact same color as the ribbed net fabric. I couldn't believe how lucky I was. It's also not super thick, so this will work perfectly as boot covers, as well as be a very good belt and headband for on the wig. I'm pretty excited that I found this. It was not very expensive at all. Drew's Sewing Center has extremely reasonable prices. I'm just very happy that I found this. And especially that all the colors match, because that was my worst nightmare when creating everything else on the old costumes, was getting everything to match. The wig, the fabric, all of it. This has been a little bit of a look behind the scenes on how I plan my cosplays and of course source my fabrics and materials. I hope this has been somewhat interesting to some of you, especially some of the non-cosplayers who don't exactly see that step of the cosplay making process usually. So thank you guys so much for watching this little cosplay update video, and be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching!